Hey guys, Morktorkus here. So today we saw Taric get revealed by Riot for the new Legends of Runeterra expansion, Call of the Mountain. He looks really cool, and we've got a whole bunch of other cards relating to gems that we're going to be looking at today. So I'm going to give my impressions, and we're just going to jump right into it. So Taric is a 4-mana 2/4 with support that says give me and my supported ally tough this round and copy the last spell you cast on only me this round onto that ally. And his level up condition is if I've seen you target or support allies 7+ times, then he will level up and he will get +1/+1 and get support. My supported ally and I can't take damage or die this round, and he gets to keep the spell transfer effect that the initial version has. So this seems really good, especially when you add in the fact that we have these gems, which we'll look at in a second, because they really do make it very easy for him to level up on his level up condition. They're all like 1-mana burst spells that you can target your minions with. But the big thing is this whole like transferring the spells to the other unit with the support, because you already get this tough, right? The tough is going to make you and whatever you're attacking with beside it quite resilient, despite the fact he's obviously a little bit understated, or a decent amount understated at 2/4 for 4 mana, which is only a little bit better than Maokai. And Maokai is not one that you get excited about attacking with. But the toughness is definitely nothing to scoff at, and you're probably going to be building a deck around giving him a lot of buffs anyways, just so that you can get that extra impact from the buff transfer effect. So having him start out a little smaller does make sense, because you immediately just, I don't know, you put on, and well, his champ spell is Blessing of Targon, which is granting you +3/+3, but basically you do something like that, you're getting 6 stats for the 5 mana that you're spending, and then Taric's more resilient, the thing you're buffing is more resilient. It's really not a big deal having to attack with him, unless there was something like really large in the way. I think most of the time, if you're attacking on evens and you attack with Taric on 4, you're probably going to be pretty happy with what happens. And you're hopefully maybe using a 2-drop with the other attacker, and you've banked like 3 spell mana from last turn, and you can throw a buff on first or something. And obviously when he levels up, which I really don't think is going to be that hard to do in the deck that you're probably going to build with all these gems and things, that then you have both the units having invulnerability. So if you go for an open attack, they literally can't do anything about it. He has to be dead before the round starts, or else he's going to make it through the round. So that is really nuts. I'm really excited for Taric. I think he's going to be very versatile. I think you'll be able to put him in so many different region combinations. And I don't know what the other champions are going to look like, but I'm super excited to try Taric on day 1. I'm probably going to make a ton of different Taric decks. I think he might not be like crazy powerful, but I think he's going to have a strong impact on the game. Then we look at Taric's champ spell, which is Blessing of Targon. I mentioned it a second ago. It's 5 mana, grant an ally +3/+3. So that's a permanent buff. It's a little bit more expensive than Fury of the North for 1/1 less, but it's permanent. So it's definitely debatable which one of those is better, but given that you'll have this when you have Taric in hand, I think that's a really good buff to have if you do have a Taric on board. So it being his champ spell is really good synergistically, I'd say. It's really funny thinking about standalone now because standalone gives you +3/+3 and it's 4 mana. And now this is 5 mana and you don't need it to be all by itself on the board. So it's a huge difference there. But yeah, I think this is going to be a very solid buff, especially combined with Taric. I don't know how much it's going to be played outside of that, but definitely with Taric, I think it will. You'll probably run 1 or 2 copies of it in the deck, in addition to the fact that when you draw a bonus Taric, you'll be able to cast it whenever you want. So I think it's a very, very, very playable looking card. So then we have gems, and all the remaining cards we're going to be looking at do interact with gems. So a gem is 1 mana burst spell, heal an ally for 1 and grant it +1 attack. But it can't be cast in combat or in response to a spell. So it's basically only burst because you don't want to give initiative back to your opponent. You want to cast it before you attack. So you're able to do it and then attack, or you're able to do it and then play something else. I don't think the limitation is that big of a deal. I think the major thing is this is just going to be fueling Taric's level up condition, and especially it's going to be fueling the Arbiter of the Peak, which I didn't think very highly of yesterday when I looked at it initially, but with all this gem support which we're going to be looking at, I think it will be nuts. I think that my initial impression is you'll be able to generate a bunch of gems. You can have a really cool deck with like Jay Medarda, and you're like cycling with him, and then you're playing these Arbiters of the Peak, and you can even play Plaza Guardian, which I was saying is very comparable to Arbiter of the Peak, and kind of has synergy in the same way here. So, and then you just shuffle a bunch of copies and cycle through and build an army of those. I really want to make a deck like that. So yeah, the gem obviously isn't that much of an effect for the 1 mana, but it's still not bad at all. So let's see what gives us the gems. So the first one is Gift Giver. 1 mana, 1/2. When I'm summoned, create a gem in hand. So it's a good starting off point. It's very solid way to get gems in your hand because you just play it and you get one right off the bat. It's not obviously very exciting. It's just a 1-drop. But if you need gems, you're probably going to want to run this one in there. That way you do have something to play on 1. Maybe if you're going a little bit slower, you want to lean more towards other gem-giving cards, but I think this one is probably going to make it into pretty much every gem deck. So I think it looks very solid. Then we have Mountain Goat, which is 2 mana, 3/1 with Strike, create a gem in hand. This one looks a lot more iffy. It has to strike first, but it only has 1 HP. So it's very easy to remove. The 3 attack does make it like not too weak compared to some other 2 mana striking cards we've seen before. But yeah, the fact that it's so easily removable means that a lot of the time you probably won't get to strike or get the gem at all. So I think it kind of does have that like synergy with, if you do buff it, it will have a bigger impact than other gem cards that we have here. But that does take a little bit of commitment, and it means that you probably can't just play him out on 2 and hope that he lives. That's really not gonna be how it works out. So I don't know if he's really gonna make it into all of these decks, but certainly I'll experiment with him. I don't know how exactly you'd want to do it, but yeah, there's certainly going to be ways that you could leverage the Mountain Goat as a almost infinite gem generator. So he has a lot higher a lot higher of a ceiling for his potential, but just hard to get up there, I think. Vile Feast is a card, and Thermo Beam and all these things, so it won't take very much mana to take him out. But, I mean, it still only costs 2, so if you trade out one spell for your Mountain Goat, it might not feel too bad. Then we have Mentor of the Stones. 3 mana, 1/1. Very bad stats. But it has support, grant my supported ally +2/+2. Lots of these things are granting stats. That's certainly a thing we're seeing. So you get the 1 attack off, and then you get some buffs on there. And then Last Breath, create 3 gems in hand. So playing 3 mana to get 3 gems isn't going to feel very good, but it is going to take at least 1 resource for them to get rid of it. And if you do get your 1 attack off, you still get 3 of stats altogether. And putting the stats onto something else might even just be better off, because that way you're getting the gems and you're making something else more resilient, which might be something that would like to stick around more and have more come out of it in the long run. So it's kind of an interesting design, and I think just the fact that it does give you 3 gems is a big deal in these gem decks with Taric and all these kinds of things. I think it won't be that hard for you to manage to get that 1 attack off first. And even if you don't, it's probably not going to put you too far behind, as long as you do have those cards that really do leverage the power of the gems. So I think it looks really cool. It might just put you too far behind with the 1/1. We'll have to see. I think it's really going to come down to just how all these cards really interact. I think it might be that this kind of deck kind of falls behind a little bit early, but then once the Arbiter of the Peak comes down, you swing the game back in your direction pretty quickly. But yeah, I think we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. But either way, it's a very exciting card. And then the last card we're looking at is Shards of the Mountain. 4 mana, fill your hand with gems. So this card makes me very excited, not because it's especially good, but because it has some huge potential. It's very memey looking card, and I love that kind of stuff. My thought when I saw this was we play Cloud Drinker, and hopefully our hand is mostly empty, and then we play this, and then you just play all of your gems in one go, basically. I don't know if that's like a big deal, but it might be really cool. And like you could, I think you could make Cloud Drinker work in a way, as long as you're not like fallen too far behind by the time you play it, that you just make sure that all your gems are free, and then it's kind of a must remove at that point, because the gem discounts are just a little bit too much. But that might just not have that much impact, so that's another thing. We'll see. But yeah, the Jay Madara thing is also another great thing. Like, you do this and then it's a full-on draw engine. So whether this one gets played or not, I'm certainly going to try it, but the other ones definitely look a lot more viable. This one is just like, you know, it kind of very similar to Aurora Borealis if it was a slow spell, because it's so value oriented and not you're spending a lot of mana to just get a ton of value. So it's not a card, it's not the concept of a card that really makes you think that it's going to help you a lot in a lot of games. Normally you can't afford to spend too much mana like that, and you still have to spend the mana on the gems. So We'll have to see. I don't think that Shards of the Mountain is going to be one of the competitive gem cards, but I think the other ones will probably end up in one or more region combinations, one or more gem deck concepts really coming together and becoming a competitive deck. Alright, so that's it for this video. I'm really excited for Taric and all the gems. I'm going to be making all kinds of decks with it. So let me know if you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did. Comment down below if you're excited about Taric and all the gems as much as I am, and what deck ideas you have for using him and those gems. And please subscribe if you'd like to see more of my content in the future. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it so much, and I'll see you guys in the